Me and Mary Kate don't have a calyx shells, but your boy loves storage and loves looking at things in a very neat way. And so the storage system has it where you have two different components or bodies of, I don't know how to describe this, containers. Hey, I'm Devin.
And I'm Mary Kate.
And we're picking up pieces.
A channel all about board game pieces.
And how to pick them up. And in today's video, we're going to be giving you 5 Kickstarter campaigns or Game Pound campaigns that end this month. In the month of June. That's the month. And so we're just going to give you 5 games that excite us and then tell you why they might excite us, give you a description of the game so you guys can see what's out there and see what might be up your alley. So, in saying that, let's go ahead and get into it.
So the first game we're going to talk about ends on June the 14th, and that would be the Carson City Big Box. So Carson City is designed by Xavier George and is published by Quind Games. And so this game has been around a while. It is a fairly well-known and well-liked game, Carson City, but it has been out of print since I think 2015. And so a lot of people have been looking for it, have been wanting a reprint, and here it is. So Carson City is a pretty interesting game. It's a worker placement game for 2 to 6 players. And what's interesting about it is the worker placement mechanism itself. On the board, there's like 2 different sections. There's a part where you're trying to buy land and build buildings and stuff to get income. And then there's like a worker placement kind of zone where you get stuff that helps you buy the land and do stuff. So you get to pick, do I put my worker on a piece of land that I want to buy, or do I put it up here to get more power or things of that nature? Now, generally in a worker placement game, the main kind of tension is, oh, can I go there? Are my opponents already there? Are they going to block the spots that I want? But in Carson City, you can go in the same spot where someone else is, and then you fight them. And whoever has the most power wins the fight, and they get the space. And so you're allowed to go fight other people. It's why you might put your workers up to get more power, because the person with the most power wins the duel. And so you're basically dueling each other to get land, to build buildings, to expand this city and bring more people in. So why back it? This game's hard to find. It's finally getting a reprint. If this is a game that seems interesting to you, if you've played it before and you haven't been able to find it, now is the time to get it before June the 14th. It has a few expansions that go along with it since it's the big box. It also has a new solo mode, and it comes with like a whole box organization kind of kit.
Yeah, a new organization system.
Yeah. I forgot the word system.
You're good.
But anyway, this game looks really cool. I haven't played it before, but honestly, it looks like something I would enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. The only thing that's probably a ding for us personally in our personal collection is the fact that it's worker placement. Worker placement, I feel like we have a lot of, or at least worker placements, if you played one, it's not that you've played them all, but they all share such a similar DNA to each other. So,
yeah.
But I am pumped up about Carson City. Later on in the video, we'll tell you what maybe we might buy with our own money, actually. Just, again, to give you our own personal thoughts on these things. So, that's Carson City.
The next game ends actually the day after that on June the 15th, and that would be Into the Godsgrave by Lucky Duck Games. So, Lucky Duck Games, like always, and in this game, they are known for their app integration.
Okay, yeah.
So
that's all they do. They're like, more apps mean more better.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So it's a 1 to 4 player co-op game that's scenario based, and each scenario is 90 to 120 minutes.
Okay. So a long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you bring this to the table,
expect 2 hours.
Expect 2 hours. It's really interesting. So it has a cool storyline. Basically, it's like in this alternate universe, there were these like gods, think like Greek gods, who are basically ruling over everyone, and they tried to destroy the world, and the people rose up and like killed them.
Okay.
And they have these like massive places where these giant beings are dead, and those are called the Godsgraves. But there's been like murmurings that there are like new gods in this certain city, and these people who believe in them are basically going out and like invading other lands and taking them over.
Okay.
And so in Into the Godgrave, you play as a group of mercenaries who are going into the Godgrave to see actually what's happening. Are these people just lying about these new beings? Are they trying to use it for political gain? You're trying to find out. And so all of the combat is driven through the app. So you have like little tiles in front of you that you're moving on, but all the combat, the choices that you make and planning, all of that, it's all stored completely in the app. Which is honestly really interesting. It kind of takes a lot of the work out of games like that, where you have to be like keeping track of how much damage different monsters have on them or whatnot. It does it all for you. It's a deck building game, so you start out with a basic deck. You add cards to it as you go through, which is different than many other Lucky Duck games.
Okay, cool.
So they have a lot of Kickstarter exclusives, Kickstarter exclusive expansions, and they are saying that they will deliver the game to their backers before the game hits retail.
What does that mean, though, right, with the Lucky Duck?
Yeah, so there have been, Lucky Duck games, you know that you're going to eventually get your game, so in that sense, they are reliable, but in their business model, they generally have a lot of different projects going on at once. And so they have a few already unfulfilled Kickstarters that they're working on getting produced.
Okay. Yeah.
They have a few other games that they're working on getting produced right now and getting sent out to backers. And I know that their most recent other campaign, The Dark Quarter, has been delayed significantly. So if you are really intent on getting your games at the time that you're kind of thinking you want them, you're either going to need to probably push that back a number of months in your head from when they kind of say their goal date is.
Yeah.
Or just be willing to wait a long time to get the game that you backed.
Yeah. And not trying to come after Lucky Duck at all. It's just they've proven this is the case now. And so until otherwise proven, this is what we need to expect from us backing the games, right?
Yeah. So it's not that they're like unreliable and that they're not going to get your game. They have a good track record on getting their games produced, made to a very high tier, to a high quality, and getting them sent out. They just run a little delayed. So if that is something that doesn't interest you, that would be something to keep in mind. I mean,
it doesn't interest me. So, also, before moving on to the next game, I definitely hear people cutting grass on the outside, but this is the only time we have to film.
Yeah.
So, just FYI, if you guys do hear that, sorry, but we gotta film right now. So, sorry we can't refilm it later.
All right, so, Devin.
Yeah.
Here's this game.
It's so serious. So, the third game is getting... end date is June 16th, and it's The Last Spell, produced by Tabula Games. And then also, I'm going to be reading these straight off the paper because I do not know how to pronounce these. These are Italian names, and your boy's American. All right, so it's Nestor Magoni and Alessandro Baracci. I think that's how I feel pretty confident about that too. So those are the designers of the game. I know Magoni, he's produced many or designed many of other games that are very well loved. I can't remember them off the top of my head. Dang it. I think Darwin's Journey, that's coming out here pretty soon. He's produced that, for example. So the game The Last Spell is tower defense. That is divided up into two different phases. So you have preparation phase, and then you have actually an attack phase. And it's based thematically off of an old video game. So a lot of the art style in this game is an 8-bit. Kind of think of if you don't know the video game, if you know the board game Overboss, is that kind of art style on all the cards. But then you have a main board, which is massive. It is a huge game. It's going to take up a ton of table space. But you have the main board where you have your essential town, where you're trying to defend the ring that is in the center, and you have all of them during the day phase where you're building up that town, where you can either scavenge for materials, or you can build buildings and build up defenses like a catapult, for example, in order to defend these waves that are going to be completely surrounding you and are going to be coming in out of this fog, so you don't get to see beforehand. So it's the preparation phase, which is like almost this whole own game. I know Rado, I watched his video and he talked about how there's actually 2 different rule books, that at least for the prototype, one for the day phase and one for the night phase. Don't know how it's going to be after the game's actually produced. So they're going to be coming at you during the night phase, in which you have your actually heroes. So each person is a hero on top of managing the village during the day. And whenever they're coming at you, they have different like line of sight rules or different things like that. They do line of sight really cool, whether they actually give you like a piece of like cardboard that's, like not just cardboard, like it's going to have artwork and other stuff like that to determine line of sight. Pretty unique. I haven't seen that before. Again, Rado emphasized that. I took a lot of my research off of his video and then also off of the campaign page. And so it looks very interesting. It looks like it does the prep and then also the attacking really well. It's cooperative, so if you love cooperative games, it's going to be right up your alley for sure. I'm trying to think anything else that would be relevant for you guys to know. It has a ton of stretch goals. A ton of things for you to buy. You can dump a ton of money in this. So don't feel pressure to dump a ton of money into it, because that's going to be a board game budget for the year. But it definitely does seem interesting. It's something that definitely itched my desire of a game. I like the idea of tower defense. I don't think it's done often. Something I can think of, Great Wall, I have that. But it doesn't do tower defense to this degree, where you're actually building up like a whole tiny little village in order to defend the city. So definitely interests me, even though I don't know thematically the last spell of the game. So definitely, if you guys want it, it ends June 16th. So that's the last spell. The other game, or actually not a game, is actually a storage system called Storage System, which ends June 22nd. And so produced by Phila Games. I mean, they made this whole company just based off of this idea that they had, where they were like, oh, we want to store a whole bunch of tiny card games or tiny box games into a more accessible way in your Calyx shelves. Me and Mary Kate don't have a Calyx shelves, but your boy loves storage and loves looking at things in a very neat way. And so the storage system has it where you have 2 different components or bodies of, I don't know how to describe this, containers, where you're putting in decks of cards, or again, games, phase 10, for example. I mean, that's a widely known game, The Mind, something like that. Or you can put in a bunch of button shot games to fill it in. We will put up a thing somewhere right around here to demonstrate, because they give you a graph on the Kickstarter page, and I'll just copy and paste that here. And so it looks really attractive. I liked how the guy was talking about it, or the designer. He was mentioning how, whenever you're in a board game hobby space, you're not just playing games. I mean, that actually is just not a small part. Obviously, that's a huge part. But there's so much more to the hobby space. I mean, a lot of it is like you're going to be looking at games that you're never going to play. You're going to be having most of the games in boxes for most of the time. I mean, you're only going to play games so often. So you want to look at it in a good light. And so it definitely intrigues me. I like that they had the idea and they thought, hey, if we had the idea, let's make this happen, because we're not the only people who would want this. And then they made a company out of it. And so I definitely have mad respect for that, and I want to support them. So definitely Phila System, it's not a game, it's definitely game adjacent enough to talk about it. So
game adjacent enough. I like it.
June 22nd.
June 22nd. And so the last game we're talking about today is on GameFound. It is Loam. It is being published by Cardboard Revolution, which is a new game company. publishing company.
That's how it goes. Yep.
So they have another game that's coming up after this one on Kickstarter. They have a couple online game, simple online games, as well as some print and plays on their website. So Loam is a competitive set collection game for 1 to 4 players. It's pretty short. They say it should last somewhere between 25 to 40 minutes. So not very long. So this game is actually like a sciencey game.
Yeah.
Because you are a plant and you're trying to build healthy soil to grow in. And so this game is played out over 3 different rounds, and you have like a little tracker board in front of you that has 3 separate little trackers that you're tracking for the health of the soil. So like the structure of the soil, the nutrients in the soil, and if it supports the food web. And so there are different types of things you're putting down in your little dirt pile. You're putting animals, bugs, some microbes, things that basically build healthy ecosystems. And so they kind of broke down the types of cards in that you have creature cards, and then you have cards that interact with the creature cards. So you have different kind of actions that you do, as well as some kind of like effect cards. So this game, it's like really adorable to me. Like it's both cute because it's all kind of clay art. Like the artists made like clay sculptures of all the things and they photographed them.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
And it is like realistically represents all the different creatures. So he wanted to make them like anatomically correct for what they are, but like still be cute. Which I think is really cool, personally. And it's kind of an educational game because it does actually accurately represent how you build a soil microbiome, which just makes my like teacher heart happy. So.
Yeah, like they actually are marketing it for classroom use. Like you can buy a whole bunch of like games together discounted for a classroom. And so like I don't see many games do that. So mad respect to them. And I definitely think that's something that is a really cool idea. And I mean, if I was a science teacher, I mean, of course I love board games. I think board games is a great medium to learn whatever it may be, history or whatever. And so using that to teach students about like ecosystem or environmental science would be great. So yeah,
it's super fun.
Yeah.
So that is Loam. Yeah. It ends on June the 30th. I think I forgot to say that at the beginning.
Okay, June 30th. And definitely the artwork, I wanted to mention it as well. It's really cool. Not many games have that claymation style artwork.
Yeah.
So really cool. Anyway, Loam. So Mary Kate, out of these 5 games, 4 games, 1 not a game, which one do you want personally? Which one you think you might actually spend money on?
I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted.
Well, you can pick a couple if you want. We've done that before. We cheated.
But I'm conflicted across. So realistically, the one that I would probably be most likely to get, because I am a teacher and I'm trying to start board game club next year, I am a bit interested in getting Loam because I think that would be a really fun thing to play in board game club. With my middle school students. I think that just sounds really fun. So probably most realistic one I'm gonna back Loam.
I think you know where I'm landing. I want that Phyllis system. I do not have a Calyx shelf, and I approve.
But we don't. You buy it, and we have nothing to do with it.
No. I mean, we still have small box games. We can just put it in like a normal shelf. And at some point, we plan on getting a Calyx shelf. At some point. And so currently right now, I mean, we have different areas we can put it. And you can put a whole bunch of small box games in there. So really cool. Also, didn't mention this, all the stretch goals, at least it advertised that you get it with your pledge. So.
Cool.
Pretty cool. Anyway, so Phyllis system for me, Loam for Mary Kate.
Also, man, if it wasn't that it would take so long, I would really want Into the Godsgrave, just like an honorable mention. But we have a number of games that I've backed recently that have kind of a co-op scenario-driven game. So I probably don't need another one. But that's definitely a game that I would really enjoy. Yeah. So, probably won't get it because just practically we have a lot of those types of games hopefully coming in the future.
Yeah.
And they're not Devin's favorite games, so I don't know how often they're going to get played.
So, but anyway, guys, more importantly, we just want to let you know that we value all of you. And if we had the chance, we would love to play board games with every single one of you. So, until next time, bye.
Bye.